morning. Come on now. Good morning. All right, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you, everyone, for having us out today on this beautiful Saturday morning. Here to talk about neighborhoods and housing. Can I get a woo-hoo from this crew over here? All right. I'll be over there in a little bit. We're going to solve some things out here. So first off, thank you again for coming out this morning. This is a heavy topic. Every topic today is a very heavy topic, and I will say, admittedly, I struggled with what to focus on because there's a lot to focus on. But hopefully I can capture a little bit of the essence of neighborhoods and housing. So a study came out a couple weeks ago talking about whether or not we are distressed. Are we distressed? I say yes, but let me finish. I think we are distressed, and I don't mean to say that in a cynical way. I say that to be real, to be honest about the gravity of issues. We just heard Dr. Haywood talk about some really disheartening statistics. If we're not honest with each other, we can't move past and create solutions that can actually make our city better. So there's some mixed views about that report that came out, but I do think that there are elements about it that are true, and I think there are elements about it that are false. Either way, I think that the city is pretty resilient. I think each of you are pretty resilient, and I think that is a quality that City of Cleveland has held in the 10 years that I've been here for sure, and definitely before that, that allows us to propel ourselves, to allows us to look past the reports, those not so nice headlines where they try to talk about us and the Browns and the other things, and really think about how we can be solution-oriented. So rather than spend an unnecessary amount of time on those headlines that don't paint a pretty picture of our city, let's think about some solutions that will allow our city to succeed. Neighborhoods are made up of people like me, like you, and many others that are not represented here today. Community and economic development cannot be done in isolation. Each of us is critical to the ecosystem that makes up the social fabric of our city and makes this city the vibrant city that it is. Over 25 years ago, if not more, community and economic development were fairly limited, and really the focus was around physical infrastructure. The human service providers on the other side, focusing on job training and healthcare and all the other social ills, were situated to address the quote-unquote war on poverty. Little did we know then how interconnected we were with each other. So what does this actually mean in actuality and practice? Well, myself and Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, the organization that I work for and represent today, believe that in order to achieve neighborhoods of choice, we must elevate the narrative to not only focus on the physical infrastructure and development, but also equally develop a strategy that focuses on the people that make up our neighborhoods. Let's be honest, sector silos exist, we know. The optimist in me would like to believe they're not intentional, but sometimes they are. Either way, we have to move past those in order to achieve greatness for our city. I think, and hopefully we can all agree, that physical infrastructure alone does not make up the value of a neighborhood. Human and social capital are critical elements to comprehensive community development. And to undergird that notion, we need to have some honest conversations about equity, the equity issue that's facing our city, our nation, and the greater universe. We cannot, and I repeat, we cannot solve the issues of comprehensive community development if we do not first identify the systemic and inequitable policies that have led us here today. Let me repeat that. We cannot solve the inequitable and systematic policies that have led us here today if we don't have honest conversations. One of my favorite advocates, many of you may know Angela Glover Blackwell from PolicyLink, has said many times in a number of speeches and writings that she's produced, just and fair inclusion in a society in which all can participate and prosper has become more than a moral issue. It is now the economic imperative. So, if our goal is to continually revitalize our city, then all elements of a good neighborhood are actually represented here today. Don't you think? Are y'all still awake? All right. All the elements that we need to make a great neighborhood are represented here today, period. And I thank each of you for your commitment, because you have to have some level of commitment to be up on a Saturday morning in public auditorium, right? All right. Moreover, just a couple of days ago, many of us sat in this very same room where we heard Mayor Jackson deliver his State of the City speech. And he talked about that one of the city's goals is to create a policy that leads to economic growth and wealth creation for those who have been traditionally left out. I believe a successful equity agenda helps to build upon the wisdom, the voice, and the experience of local residents. Therefore, my vision is that we create strong alliances across fields. We have so many represented here today. That we create equity-focused solutions and policy changes that deal with those people that have traditionally been left out. And we rethink, what does community organizing and mobilization look like today in 2016? It's different. I'm not going to reveal my age, but I'm going to say that some of my elders may view how community organizing was done in years past is not the way that some folks are doing it today. I think we have great examples in the city of Cleveland. We have Neighborhood Progress, in fact, has a group called Organizers and Allies. We have faith-based groups like GCC. We have Neighborhood Connections. I mean, there are great examples in our city. And then we have national ones like Black Lives Matter. But what does that all mean? And how can we at the City of Cleveland figure out what's best for our city? And how can we reinvigorate our residents to create and implement equitable solutions and policies for their communities, as I stated, that create that economic imperative solution that is much needed in our city? Thank you.